Jam and Tag, how's it going? Another week closer to Christmas though. That's always a good thing, isn't it? Okay, so we started our series last week about having dinner with Jesus, and we were at Simon's house and dinner was served to Jesus and all that went on with the woman. This week it's a little bit different. So this week Jesus is going to be providing the dinner. Okay, so it's a little bit different, but that's okay. So today's story is about a really big picnic. I love a picnic. I love sausage rolls, I love little French fancies, I love a bit of couscous, all the nice things you'd have on a picnic. Sandwiches, of course, and crisps. So this week it's going to be a picnic. Now this is my massive loaf of bread. I'm hoping that Jesus has got a massive loaf of bread ready for his picnic. So he's going to need a lot of sandwiches. Okay, so his friends, the disciples, have been going from village to village telling people all about God and all about God's kingdom. And they'd been doing some amazing things. And now they were back and they were having a bit of a catch up with Jesus. So they were going to tell him everything that had happened while they'd been away from him, all the miracles they'd seen. So they tried to get away to somewhere that was nice and quiet, a little fishing village, and they were going to have a little bit of time with Jesus. Now Jesus by this point had gotten really popular, which meant that when people heard where he was, they all went to see him. They wanted to hear him, they wanted to get healed, and if they were anywhere near where Jesus was going to be, that's where they wanted to be. So crowds and crowds of people were following Jesus, and he was teaching them all about God's kingdom, he was teaching them all about what God said, and he was healing people and helping them to get better from being poorly, and he couldn't seem to get away from them, which I don't think he minded really. Now this one particular day there'd been crowds and crowds of people who had been listening to Jesus, who'd been stood on a hillside, and before they knew it, it was really late. People had been there for ages and they started to hear this noise. What is that noise? Do you know what it was? It was the rumbling of thousands of tummies, because people were really hungry. Whose tummy rumbles when they're hungry? Mine definitely does. Surprised you can't hear it right now actually. So Jesus' disciples came to speak to him and they said, "Send everybody home, Jesus. They need to eat. We're in the middle of nowhere, we don't have food." Lots of hungry people. There's no Tesco or Sainsbury's around the corner for people to buy a meal deal, but only they had a very big loaf of bread. Did Jesus see the crowds? Did he realise they were in the middle of nowhere? Imagine, the disciples were thinking. They had 5 loaves and they had 2 fishes. And actually, they only had that because the little boy brought his picnic to them and said, "I can help, I've got some food." Now I don't know about you, but 5 loaves and 2 fishes, that's going to feed me, nobody else. So they started to look at them and they started to try and count the people. They got to about 30 and realised there were thousands, so they gave up. We can't feed everyone with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. This is ridiculous. The disciples couldn't do it. One picnic couldn't feed 5,000 people, but Jesus could. So Jesus took the food, he gave thanks to God for it, and then he started to break it up. And the disciples started to give it out to all the people. Now, it must be a miracle because over 5,000 people were fed. Not only were they fed, but they were full. Not only were they full, but there were leftovers. There were like 12 baskets of leftovers. That's more than they started with, far more. The big question that was answered on that day wasn't what's for lunch, but who is this man? Who is this Jesus? Only God can feed people when there's no food. Only God can make something from nothing. But Jesus did that too, because he is God. He is God who came down to his helpless and hungry people. At that big picnic, Jesus gave them exactly what they needed, a full tummy. But Jesus, he offers much more than just one miracle meal, doesn't he? He's the one who can fill us and help us and satisfy us. We need Jesus. He's what we need most. And when we have Jesus, we'll be satisfied. So we don't need loads of food. We don't need a massive loaf of bread. Jesus is what we need most of all. We'll see you next week, and we'll see who's going to be feeding who next week. See you next week for Dinner with Jesus. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.